Then starting in about 1940, my father bought 240 acres, and he sold 200 of it to his brother, and he kept the 80 that's behind me. This was kind of his joy. He took this 80 and converted it from washouts to a forestry and productive cropland. Well, I remember being 12 years old and plowing the fields with the Ford tractor. Even before that, I was helping with the planting of the trees. Each year we'd plant about 1,000 trees, and many of those still are there. My parents planted the first trees in 1946. We've planted grasses. We've installed a new electrical system. We built a new barn using recycled materials and non-conductors. Our cows currently live on some property on County Road B, and there's a large power line, a gas line, and a telephone cable. And we've documented now that the back 40 is productive and we can breed cattle. The front 40 with the traffic, the power line, the gas line, we can't breed cattle. We get about 10% conception rate by the road, and we get about 80% when we get away from the road. Well, you can see the observation tower on top of the hill. And the Hoffman Hills obviously is made out of the same kind of sand that the miners are after. Below Hoffman Hills is the wetland area that Dick and his family have established, and that's the beginning of one of the branches of Muddy Creek. And that passes down, you see the popple trees, and it goes into this swampy, there's a few hundred acres of swamp just below our buildings, which is a water supply and a refuge for wildlife.
We have 4 grandchildren, 2 in Menominee and 2 in Seattle, and they all absolutely love coming here. They like coming to play on the hay bales and climb on the machinery, sit in the tractors, run around, just enjoy the being outside, flying kites, watching Grandpa with the cattle, and just enjoying the birds. And they look for the deer, for the other wildlife, the turkeys.
We know that the hills, the grass, the forests filter the water, they filter the air, they process the waste from the animals and from the dying trees, and that water goes down into the swamp, which replenishes our groundwater supply. We think nature did a pretty good job.
And we bought our farm in 1970. We raised our kids here on Cedar Valley Road. And we had hoped to pass this on to our children, our grandchildren, and hopefully our great-grandchildren. The strip mine destroys the opportunity for that legacy.
A few years ago we did purchase this property. It's just under 4 acres, and we were hoping to break ground this summer to build a house in between the hills over there. And obviously we bought the property here in the country for the peace and tranquility and the beautiful scenery. We're located right on 720th Street, and those are the hills across the street that they're planning to take down. The mine would literally be about 20 feet from our property line. Yes. Actually, we're putting our building plans on hold because we're not interested in living directly across the street from a sand mine.
I have asthma and heart arrhythmia.
I grew up with asthma. As a matter of fact, I still have asthma. And to have something that close next to my son and I think that would be a very negative impact on our lives if we should build it.
And another major concern I have with the asthma issues with Jonathan and Greg are the diesel emissions from all the trucks that are supposed to be coming in and out. And I believe they're talking over 100 trucks, 120 trucks a day. Plus, especially with Jonathan and his heart arrhythmia and his headaches, he does actually need good night's sleep, and if something's going to be going till 10 o'clock at night and starting at 6 in the morning, that's going to be an issue. And if we do build here and he's going to be taking the bus to school, I'm sure that's going to be really early in the morning. So I'm concerned also about that, yes.
Do you see a safety issue with the bus and the truck?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yes, first of all, I don't think the roads are built for truck traffic. And I have seen how the truck drivers drive up and down these roads, when even on B, how fast they go. And if you're going to have school buses stopping, picking up kids, it's going to be a major issue.
I do know one of the reasons why we bought property here as well is because we are so close to Hoffman Hills. It is one thing that we do, Cheryl, Jonathan, and I really like to do is take hikes and take walks, bike rides, stuff like that, and we like nature, and to have that gone and to ride your bike out here with all those trucks, I would have to say that is a safety hazard as well. The Boy Scouts from all over, not just Chippewa Valley Council, but from out of state Minnesota, Iowa, they come from all over to visit Hoffman Hills. They do Winter Klondike over there. They do merit badge clinics, teaching the boys about nature, how to respect nature. You try to teach your kids on how to respect the land, and when they're on the trails, it's okay to roll over a rock, but that rock's got to be rolled back into the same place. And it's kind of hard to show them that this is what we're trying to teach them, but it's okay to tear down a hill and tear down habitat where animals live underground as well as above ground, and take away their food and stuff like that. And it's kind of real difficult to teach kids how to respect that.
Well, we bought it 6-7 years ago because it was so beautiful here and just ideal for raising thoroughbred horses. We sell colts and they go to the racetracks like Canterbury and so on. And if we have to stop, it would be a big chunk of income loss. The conception rate would go probably in half. And silica dust would be just deadly to their lungs. And they really can't capture all of it, is what the research shows. Someone said that down by Maiden Rock Mine, which is an underground mine, they can see the dust sometimes for 5 miles away. It'll be right across the road. All those hills will be gone. And all those over there. All the way up to Hoffman Hills State Park. I'm quite surprised that they will let outsiders come in, like Texans come in, and challenge the land use plan. The land use plan defines all this across the road and all this area as environmentally sensitive, all these hills. So we were pretty surprised that people from Texas could just come up here and want to put an industrial strip mine in here. I've lived out on the East Coast, and I've seen what they do in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania. It's pretty grotesque. And I understand they've been doing, test drilling all around the Dunn County area. It would be a pretty frightening thought.
We moved out here in, I believe, October of 1998.
Okay.
We chose this spot because it's beautiful. The hills surrounding this house are just beautiful. The hills this way block the wind from the north. The hills behind our house block the wind from the west, so it was also part of that reason that we moved here too. But we really like how quiet it is. I foresee that we would see this hill to the north of us gone eventually, and most of the hill behind us gone. We will be hearing backup beepers on trucks, crushers, a dryer, anything to do with mining noises.
We have pheasants in the front yard here daily, deer, turkeys, rabbits, squirrels, and all kinds of birds. There's been fox in the hills here, and
We've seen a bear,
Just-
robins,
We saw an eagle.
4 different variants of woodpeckers, chickadees, nuthatches, cardinals, bluebird.
Would you stick around
If the mine comes through, I don't want to be here.
you feel forced to sell out?
I feel very forced to sell out if the mine comes through, and I'm upset about it, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I have a lot of concerns about the dynamiting, opening up crevices in the ground to the water. Because once you start blasting into the dirt, into the earth, you open up all kinds of new waterways, and it can get there.
I believe our sandstone is what filters the water that we drink here. We have wonderful water, and I just feel that taking that away is going to affect our water greatly.
Well, my dad moved here with his parents to the home farm north on B in, I believe, 1920. And they were the first people who actually farmed that land. So my dad was basically raised there. He was only a year old when he moved there and died on that farm. So my folks gave us 4.5 acres here for building a home. We wanted something decent. You know, we didn't want this to be a starter home. We wanted this to be our next move as feet first home, so we went with log. It was just a good place to stare at the sky and meditate and try and get over my experiences in Vietnam. And it was probably a life-saving thing in that aspect. Phase 1 is right up here at this outcropping on this road corner, and then we'll go that way in different stages. And this hill, as I understand it, will not only be completely removed, but there will actually be, depending on whose figures you have, there could be a 60-foot hole here where this hill is now, judging by the contour maps of the area. We're of course worried about the quantity and quality of our water, and that's something you don't know until you start monkeying around with it. And deep wells are definitely monkeying around with it. And we have really excellent water here. And I'm sure that the wetlands, surrounding area would be drained. And wetlands function as a buffer for flooding. They purify the water. The plants that grow in wetlands actually absorb pollutants. They feed on them.
I don't believe that a Texas mining company should be coming up here and, essentially taking away hills, taking sand to use somewhere that isn't local. There's absolutely no benefit at all to Dunn County or the local people.
When it gets dark here at night, it's like being inside a Holstein. I mean, it's dark. And there's things like the corn growing and hearing geese fly over that aren't making a sound with their vocal cords, but you can hear their wings. You can hear of a distressed baby cardinal that fell out of the nest. Things like this, I don't think we'd be able to hear with this activity going on over here. It would just completely destroy every reason that people want to live here. Every reason.
I came here in August of 1942 because I married Elmore Lestrade. I was going to write an article about my ideas, and that was that I have a home with a view. I've had this view since 1942, and it's still very dear to me. Every morning I'd get up, I'd look to the hills. Any time of year, hills are spectacular. And I could see the Holstein cattle contentedly grazing on those hills. And we had a pond down here. And nice farm place right below the hills. And a really nice country church. At noon, 12 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock in the evening, I hear the chimes from the church. I guess it takes away my picture of a place that I love.
Well, I'm kind of Mary Lestrade's daughter, and I've lived here my entire life, since 1978, I guess. And, you know, it's always, all I can remember is, you know, every day seeing that big hill across the road, hills all around on our property, and the neighbor's property.
When we picked out our site for our new house about a year ago, it was just like a dream, really, because it was like the area just kind of reminded me of the Black Hills in South Dakota, or close to the Black Hills, with all the trees and the rolling hills. And
well, I just think if this mine goes in, it's really going to have a terrible effect on not only people who live in the area and their property values and their quality of life, but also all the visitors we have every year to Hoffman Hills. And, you know, the money and the tourism that comes from that and the views from there just can't be replaced if we take out all the surrounding hills and people are looking at a strip mine from the observation tower. I don't want to move, and I hadn't planned on ever moving again when we built where we did. So, I mean, if the mine does go in and we do have to sell, we're not going to get what we're supposed to get for our property, so we'd really be in a lose-lose situation either way. We'd have to be leaving where we always wanted to be, or else, you know, if we did have to sell, then we aren't getting what we should get for our property, so then we lose out that way too.
I was going to add that I was looking forward to going sitting in a tree stand all day, deer hunting, and I just don't see that being a possibility whatsoever with this mine.
We have approximately 120 acres, and we've lived here going on 17 years this fall, and we have a cow-calf operation, which is why I'm just the way I am. We choose the location because of the hills. We fell in love with the beauty of the rolling hills, and we also wanted to have horses and cows and chickens and everything else that goes along with the farm. The mine will be over where those poplars are, where that hill is, and they're planning on taking out that hill. I'm very worried about the cows. We have a cow-calf operation, and they are very sensitive to noise, and I'm afraid that they might stampede when it comes to blasting and all the other noises associated. When you're in the hills, sound carries. Like over here is Hoffman Hills, and we can hear people talking clearly here, and we're miles, you know, from where they are up in the hills. So sound travels very far, and we're just worried about our cows and how it'll affect their calving. We're very concerned because I work part-time, and my other job is farming. So if we can't have cows, then we're out of an income. I have asthma and allergies, and I'm also concerned about the silica dust because I've read that that will increase attacks if you do have lung problems, and we have a history of lung problems, and I'm very concerned about silicosis. My husband, he only has one functioning lung, and I'm very fearful for him. His health is not well. As you can see, today is a very windy day, and we're right in the direction from where the wind would come. So we'll be bombarded with silica dust and breathing that in 24 hours a day. We can't sleep. All we think about is the mind. Morally and spiritually, it's just wrong to destroy a scenic landscape like we have. To me, the land surrounding Hoffman Hills is the soul of Hoffman Hills, because when you go to Hoffman Hills, you encounter all this beautiful farmland, and it just builds to the excitement of going to Hoffman Hills and being in a wilderness. You take away the beauty, and Hoffman Hills is just another park.
We moved in 4 years ago. We bought the house that we live at across the street because we really enjoyed that this was a rural community. We are both from a really small rural community originally, and we just kind of like the hometown feel of it. And we're all so invested in fixing it up and making it a really nice community in which our children can grow up and feel really proud of it. And we've all invested so much time and money into it. We would hate to see all those efforts just go to waste. We're used to feed mills and fertilizer plants. They directly correlate with our local community. Where
the money goes in the community, stays in the community.
It helps our local farmers and is doing a service to them. This is something that's going to be helping Texans. It doesn't directly have anything to do with us. So it kind of just adds insult to injury that we have to deal with this, and it's not helping our community. Menominee, Wisconsin, even the Midwest, really, it's not helping us with anything. It's not being put to use in our industries.
I have a child care business. After our second child was born, it was decided by both of us that I would get the opportunity to stay home and raise the kids. To do that, though, I needed to watch other people's also, just to help us keep moving on. The additional train and truck traffic is a huge deal for us. It's going to definitely cause problems, not just with my business, but also with us and our family lives. Just with the noise, the added traffic, it's not going to be easy for us to carry on. I guess that the pollution is probably my main concern. I definitely will not be able to continue my business due to the pollution in the air. I don't think it's fair that us who live here would have to deal with that. I provide a safe environment for those children. And with the air pollution and all of the health problems that they would be exposed to, it's not a safe environment anymore. With lung problems, one of the children that I watch has asthma already. So the air quality here is not a safe environment for her. Knowing these things, I would not be able to care for the other children without telling their parents. And would any parent bring their child here for me to watch? They shouldn't. And it's so not fair because I have children and I don't have a choice to take them someplace else. Relocating my business isn't an option.
Oh, we moved here about 10 years ago. It's real quiet. I mean, we have our share of noise, but it's a pretty close-knit group.
It's quiet, it's rural.
Yeah.
It's, you know, close to town, but not in the city. And just really enjoy it out here.
Well, we plan to be here for the long haul. We spent the last 10 years working on the house, a lot of money, a lot of sweat equity. We like it here. And if we were forced to move for the noise and inconvenience, who would buy the property anyway? If I don't want to live there, I wouldn't imagine anyone else would. I work on a factory that you wear earplugs all day long. That's what I do for a living, but that's in an industrial park. That's not bothering other people. We choose to work there. When I get home, I would like to take the earplugs off, and you know, when I built the deck out behind our house, I look out over that field, and Charlie Price's cattle are grazing. It's just the neatest thing in the world. I mean, how could you replace that with a bunch of trains banging, and I'm not sure what all goes into loading this sand, but it's definitely not going to be what we have now. It's a farm community, and we all live together, you know. Like I said,
your neighbors, you don't lock your doors, you're not scared at night. I mean, you know, it's just a nice little peaceful community.
I feel very, very strongly that I don't understand how much noise we're supposed to put up with to make other people money, to make them rich. What does that have to do with me? You know, why? Everybody wants to make money off their property, but you can't do that at the expense of making everybody else's life miserable. It's not right.
I live at E6526, 629th. Me and my wife, this was our first home we bought. We wanted to live in a rural community but close to town, and this seemed like a really nice neighborhood, so that's why we ended up out here. My family's from the Iron Range in Minnesota, so I grew up with mining all around us. Like, in fact, my grandparents' houses moved 4 times because every time they would find a new pit, they'd pick up the houses, buy the land, and move the homes. I mean, like wash plants, up on the range, the wash plants, it's rock, you know, up there that they're washing. So they grind the rock and they pull the taconite out of it. Mm-hmm. And those, you have to wear plugs and muffs in the building. And if you're outside the building within like probably a quarter mile, you have to wear plugs. They're that loud. And this would be not as loud, but still I guarantee the decimal levels on those machines are huge. You know, like 100 decimals within 100 feet kind of thing. 100 feet, there's 2 houses there.
We are a small but family-oriented community. Most of us have young children. Some of us have grandchildren that are on the way. We love sitting outside in our yards, visiting with each other around a campfire, just being good, friendly neighbors. There are 4 things that mainly concern us: our property values, the noise level, the traffic level, and pollution. With property values, we have several neighbors who have just moved into town, remodeled their houses to be able to enjoy the outdoors. We have one young couple who are fixing up their house because they would love to sell it because they need to move closer to Eau Claire. With ProPrep moving in, are they going to be able to sell their house and get what they're asking for it? Nobody's going to want to move in to a neighborhood with a sand mine operation going on right next door. And we figured, being surrounded by beautiful farmland, we'd have a beautiful community to live in the rest of our lives, us and our grandchildren. Sorry.